So officially, everyone, welcome to Game Beyond the Game presents Talk That Talk, inspiring conversations with those who inspire athletes and those who work with them to learn and understand their game beyond the game. I'm your host, Stan Pearson II, here with founder of Game Beyond the Game, Prince Daniel Jr. Officially, Prince, how are you doing?
Man, I'm super blessed like always. This is another great opportunity to be able to speak to another incredible athlete, man. They're doing incredible things in the world, man, and we have this platform to be able to edify them and just remind people of all the things that they've accomplished and a lot of the jewels that they're giving back to help others grow, because that's what life is about, man. So, again, I always come back to I'm blessed and grateful, man.
That is awesome. And now, without further ado, I have to bring out our guests like the rock stars they are. You already see it. So here goes. I'd like for you all to welcome Raymond Stanford Jr., who's born and raised in Southern California, currently residing in the nation's capital, D.C., also known as RJ Stanford. Former NFL cornerback of 5 years, former Secret Service officer. Okay, so he used to protect everybody. I get it. And current cybersecurity specialist in the federal government space. He has been able to navigate the unique terrain by committing to make a good return on investment from many mentors and supporters along the way. Currently finishing up his last semester of his master's program in cybersecurity management within 12 months at Tulane University, or from Tulane University, RJ likes to say his transition to the game beyond the game started his rookie year in the NFL. I can't wait to hear more, where he learned how to begin with the end in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, clap your hands, stomp your feet. Mr. RJ Stanford Jr. Round of applause. How you feeling officially, RJ?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here.
Man, anytime and always, it's absolutely great to have you as well. So let's hop right into it, if you don't mind. Cybersecurity, what inspired that? What inspired cybersecurity in that lane? And then we're going to work our way back.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start there. So cybersecurity, it was almost a natural progression. When I left the NFL, I joined the Secret Service. And working in D.C., it's all about protection, right? But not so much physical protection. I've seen the growth and almost our society and the need for digital protection and cybersecurity protection, because the growth of online was it wasn't so much physical, but it was also the cybersecurity protection as well. So that led me into that field, into that industry.
Wow, so amazing! Is that something that you enjoyed in school, or what's been most intriguing about the cybersecurity piece?
Yeah, intriguing. When I went to school in my undergrad, I did criminal justice. It was something that kept me engaged. It was something that was interesting to me. I just didn't know what avenue or what I really wanted to do with it at the time. While I was still playing in the NFL, I got a chance to connect with the NFL security side through the NFLPA, and they were introducing me to local and federal law enforcement. And that just piqued my interest enough to know more and to learn more. And then that road to law enforcement, that's what took me there. And then once I got in that world of law enforcement, I realized there's a need for cybersecurity, and not just physical security, but security encompasses more than just the physical aspect. And that's what I seen, and that's what drove me to that path a little bit more.
Wow, amazing. So this is I'd like to ask, so as professional athletes, and let's say some of your brothers who may still be playing or thinking about playing, what's something they should think about that wouldn't really occur to them from, let's say, a social media, or we'll start with cybersecurity standpoint, that they may not be paying attention to, but you'd say, hey, you should be careful of?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So, and more for clarity, I'm glad you asked that question. So when it comes to information technology, IT, there's a lot of different avenues to go. Where I come in with cybersecurity is understanding that the internet itself is a dirty playground with unsupervised, there's no parents, right? And so in this playground being the internet, anything that is connected to the internet is vulnerable to attacks. And right now, even more so than ever with this pandemic and just our world going to AI and artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, the demand is there for securing that internet, because the internet's it's been around, but there's not security in place in a lot of these what they call the Internet of Devices. When I'm talking about Internet devices, I'm talking about your thermostat now, or Ring on your doorbell. That's now moving into cars. So that industry itself is growing, right? It went from like 7 billion to, in 10 years to 2030 is going to reach to 24 billion just on connected devices itself. That's all good and great, but from a vulnerability and security standpoint, you need to be able to protect that network, because that means all those devices, 24 billion devices, will be connected to a network or internet without any security in place. So now data is worth more than oil. And there's an argument to that, but right now data is worth more than oil in a sense. So
that's the word right there. And I'll also say the way that you explain that in terms of being the internet being a dirty playground with no parental supervision. Yeah. And I would think even maybe parents are maybe listening to that will hear that and go, well, I didn't think about it that way, because I guess to your point, it's far deeper than most people even think. The layman thinks surface, but someone like you obviously has an understanding of IT and obviously the internet and cybersecurity thinks about it much deeper, the rabbit hole, if you will.
Exactly.
Right. Man, so I want to take it back, as Stan had mentioned earlier, to like, who is RJ Stanford, man? You know, who like I want to know who is RJ Stanford, man. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm originally from California, Southern California, LA, born in Inglewood, and then I've been fortunate and blessed to move outside to Chino, California. So it's about 40 minutes east out of LA County. That's where I was born and raised. And from there, went on to college in Utah and everything else. But when it comes to who is RJ, who is Raymond, I represent my family. I represent my village. I'm a junior, but I should be the third. My grandfather is also named Raymond. My dad is Raymond. I'm Raymond. Our middle name is from my great-grandfather, which is Perry. So I represent my lineage, but I also represent, when I say my village, everybody who has supported me and loved me, whether it be a mentor, a coach, my friends, my family, and all the relationships I've built over the years. That's my village, and that's who I represent.
Nice. So what high school did you go to, man? And what college did you go
to? Chino High School in Southern California. Did my time there and got an opportunity to get a full ride scholarship to the University of Utah, and did my 4 years there. After that, got drafted to Carolina in 2010.
You've really been underachieving. I'm just going to let you know. I'm going to be honest. You have not been pulling your weight, man. This is me just being completely sarcastic. Maybe you literally just been kind of running the gambit, taking care of business along the way, piece by piece. Thanks for sharing that with us. I'm sorry, Prince.
No, it's okay. What team did you get drafted by, man? And who did you play for when you was in the league?
So I got drafted by Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, Carolina in 2010. I was a seventh round guy, so I was a bubble guy. And I want to make a point to really throw that out there, because I failed to success, I like to say, right? In the sense of, when I was in college, I had 1 interception. As a corner, that's a bad stat.
That's a bad stat.
Most guys get 10 in a season, or more, 5 in a season. I got 1 out of my 4 years in college, but, was able to get drafted. But I was a 7th round guy, so I was a bubble guy, and kind of worked my way onto the active roster, and it just took off from there.
Nice, man. Nice. What were some of the things that you felt that you had to overcome while you were in the league, man? Because it's a tough game, man. So what allowed for you to maintain that mindset to just stay focused on, I'm not concerned about the 7th round when I know I should have went the 1st round, but how'd you stay in it, man?
Yeah, and that was the hard part. That was a learning curve you have to go through, because everybody in college, at least, thinks that they're the top guy, and they're the guys, and they get to the league, and it's like, yo, I'm a small fish in a big pond. And but I was fortunate to be mentored by another corner, another DB, CJ Wilson. He was a 4-year guy. I was a rookie, And he kind of just took me under his wing. And mind you, the NFL is a dog-eat-dog world, right? It's this is how we live. This is how our livelihood, especially during camp. And so here's this guy, we play the same position, but he's schooling me up on the sideline on technique or how to read offense and formations. But he's really instilling in me the information to take his job, right? Because there's only so many corners on the field at one time, and there's only so many on the roster. So that was mind blowing for me at the time, because here's this guy essentially telling me how to take his job. And he said, hey, there's going to be one day where I'm injured, where I'm not here, and you're going to have to step in. So I'm going to need to prepare you right now so we don't skip a beat, because we're here to ultimately win some games and succeed on this as a team. And so that team aspect really humbled me in a sense of, though I felt like I was going to, I deserved to get drafted higher, it was more so about empowering everybody else on the team to succeed. So,
man, that's super awesome, because as you mentioned, it's the dog-eat-dog world, and so that's very valuable for somebody like that, like a vet, to actually pull you underneath his wings and say that to you, because it kind of throws you for a loop, because it's just like, why are you giving me some information, man? What is this about? Like when you first, when he first started giving you advice, were you able to accept it easy, or did you have some reserve?
No, I think he was coming from a genuine place, and I think I felt that. I felt that energy, but it was hard to accept, because throughout your whole career, or even leading up to that point, I should say, is, you have to stay consistent. You have to continue to just excel in your own world. And so he was breaking that selfishness out of me, right, at a rookie year. So it was hard to accept, but I felt it was coming from a genuine place. So that allowed me to receive it and take that information in.
Nice. So I would say right now, what are you doing right now? And after your career, was it a tough transition for you?
Yeah. So right now, yes, I'm in the cybersecurity world, right? I'm in the government world, and it was a hard transition. But at the time, I thought I had it figured out a little bit more, because while I was still playing, right, I started tapping into law enforcement and seeing what that process looked like while I was still playing. So I felt I had a little roadmap, right? After I got done playing, this is the route I want to go. But throughout that process of that transition, I was failing out of the application to get into these local and federal law enforcement agencies, right? I went through 5 agencies at the least, and some of those you had to, if you failed, whether it be the test or later on in the process, you might have to wait a year to reapply, right? FBI works like that in some of these other agencies. So you have to play the waiting game. So in that time of waiting, I got involved with a trucking distribution company. I was coaching high school. I was helping out coaching high school football. That was a passion, but my ends weren't meeting at the time at the same time. So the trucking distribution was cool. It was good, but that wasn't really something I knew maybe I wanted to do long term. So then you're in this place of identity crisis, but also having to reinvent yourself. And I had to be okay with reinventing myself. Yeah, I played football. I was in the NFL, but here I am. Okay, coaching seemed more natural. Or you start a business, entrepreneurship, and then, law enforcement. Okay, that was like more of a team environment. Get to drive fast, shoot guns. That sounds like something cool. Sign me up, right? But I had to wait, right? I had to wait for that process a little bit. So, but I had to get comfortable with just stripping off my NFL identity and taking off that cape and just reinventing myself and being okay with that. So, yeah.
That is awesome.
what was the most difficult part about that transition, if you don't mind? If you can think back, RJ, to when you were first transitioning, that let's say that low point or the toughest part about saying, okay, I'm no longer a professional athlete or NFL in the moment.
Yeah. For me, I felt I left when I had my health. I left on my own terms in a sense, but I felt like I was letting everybody else down around me, right? My support group, my family, my friends who love to come to the games, who love to support, football in my career. But here I am changing careers, or I'm saying I'm done with this. So there was a time where I felt like I was letting everybody down because I wanted to do something else, right? And then, like, I talk about that identity crisis. So now I'm trying to figure things out of which route I want to go, which way I really want to go, and just being okay with that, because that you go in and out of that depression too. You go in and out of that depression when you're going through that identity phase where there's no longer people cheering for you. But I was okay with that in a sense. I love being able to walk into a grocery store and just shop, right, without any accolades or people recognizing who I am in a sense. But I had to become okay with that. I had to become comfortable with that, and that was the hardest part of going in and out of depression, I think.
Man, you mentioned depression. That's like a very high statistic in the U.S., but also around the world, man. And I dealt with it as well. And a lot of people deal with it whenever they're going through any type of transition. I mean, what was that like, and how did you overcome it?
What was it like?
Yeah. Did you have like long days and short nights where you was just in your head, just talking about all the things that you've done? Because you mentioned that you let your family down, but how did you let your family down? And then, like, what did the depression play in that whole equation?
Yeah, just on a sense of, you have a lot of people cheering for you. You have a lot of people supporting you in your career. And when you decide to change it up, or you decide to leave, or any other circumstance happens, you might feel like that's the way they seen you. That was the way that you were making them proud. And so here you are not making them proud anymore. And these are thoughts that are going through my head, right? I'm not making them proud. I don't know what I really want to do. And so you just go through this phase of, I told you before, I want to make good on my investment. So all the people that instilled their time, their love, their care, their support, you want to return that in the sense of making them proud of doing what you're doing. So I had to realize that it wasn't just solely based on what I did as far as a job or occupation, but who am I? Who is RJ? And that should be enough. And that's what helped me overcome, in a sense, right? Understanding that it was about who I am, not just what I did, that made my family proud and the support group.
Wow. So you mentioned that period being difficult. This one question with kind of two parts to it. Like, what advice would you give that that was kind of beginning to get out of the NFL? And then what, advice would you give the younger version of you? Let's say you've overcome some things when you were younger, whether it be middle school and high school or moving through as a young man. What's some advice you give yourself, now looking back at those two different moments?
Early on, believe in myself, continue to believe in myself at an early age. I didn't even realize I didn't realize until really my senior year that I was, really good enough to go to the NFL. It was one of those things where you're good, you've had success, but it wasn't until my senior cornerback coach said, "Hey, man, you're good enough to go to the NFL, man. Practice like it, play like it, watch film, study like it, and not just going to the NFL, but you have that first round kind of talent, and just." But believing that at a young age and understand the potential that other people see in you. I would tell my younger self, right? Believe in yourself, believe in other people, keep that positive energy around you. because you could really go and do anything you want to do and pursue. But looking back, kind of throughout the situation, I would tell myself also to just, continue to stay focused, stay humble along the way. Don't quit. And just leave everything better than you found it. Really, leave everything better than you found it.
That's beautiful. Hey, I want to say to our audience, reviewing in, if you have any questions for RJ, whatever it is about life, man, or about technology, he has the answers. So please, hashtag ask and ask away.
Yeah.
What's my last question in this particular moment? What's been the best part about leaving the NFL, right? So I know that's something that, when you mentioned, identity and working through that, what's been the best part about saying I'm not suiting up every Sunday or getting ready for, camp?
Yeah. I think the best thing is taking those qualities that you learn in the NFL, the leadership, the teamwork, the dedication, the hard work, the mindset that you develop through the NFL, taking that was probably the best thing that you could apply to any other industry or any other field. And that's kind of where I see myself like, hey, I could take this and go learn something else and go do this. And what's the next ridge line? And so that was it for me, just what's next and being confident in what I've already, established. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Amazing. So
man in the house. Go ahead, then.
Yeah. So I mean, so you from NFL to understanding cybersecurity, and Secret Service and those pieces, and even let's say social media. What are some things that people can do, or let's say that your fellow brethren can do, in the fraternity of not just football, but let's say professional athletes in general. We know that you're a small percentage of people who operate at the highest level, and I feel like those folks also have to deal with things at a different level. So what do you have? I feel like I don't even have to finish the sentiment, but you have some jewels for us already, I know.
No. So just, I do, but clarify when you say social media, what do you want to?
Great. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Maybe, in two things. I could say, from a maturity standpoint, because there is a level of maturity that sometimes it doesn't seem fair, but still it's necessary when you're operating at such a high level. So from that standpoint, and also from just an operational standpoint and how to function, how to move, in dealing with how to keep your things safe, how not to get hacked, those kind of things that seem to happen, or the possibility of those, happen quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just start from the security standpoint of social media and any app that you download on your phone. You need to read the terms. Right? You need to read the terms of service on any application you download, because most of the time, every time, back to my point about data being worth more than oil, all these companies and applications, they're being built at such haste, so quickly that they don't have security designed in the initial standpoint. They just want to put out applications and social media, TikToks and all this stuff. And then here you are signing up and you click OK, but within those terms of service, they're asking you, hey, we're going to turn on your microphone. We're going to store your information, your credit card information, whatever it is, your location. And you just say, okay, because you want to use that application. So understanding that all these applications are selling your information to third parties, right? So, there's a sense of you don't have an expectation of privacy, once you use these apps, because for one, you're consenting to say, hey, yeah, you could go through my phone, you could hop on my network, and take whatever information you want. And that's kind of the information standpoint that you need to be aware of when you use these applications on social media. And mind you, it's good, right? Like, I mean, it has bred opportunity through online and social media, but you just have to understand that there's big corporations. I'm on the enterprise side. They spend billions of dollars on a security breach that happens. So imagine if you and these have the resources to protect it, right? I mean, we have a whole cybersecurity team, but imagine you start your business, a small business, you might not have the resources to just have, somebody monitoring your network, right? I mean, but at the same time, there's a lot of things you can do, whether that's, and I'm gonna leave this, right? You need to just have your password more complex, right? Some people use a password that might be 4 to 6 characters. Go with 12 to 15, because there's a lot of tools out there, free tools that hackers use, that it's called a dictionary attack or a brute force attack, that will go through words in the dictionary. And if you have a simple password, it might be password 123, it's going to crack that password in a minute, right? If you have 12 to 15 characters and you have a special character with it, it just takes a little longer, right? So that's one simple, small thing you could do. Protecting your Wi-Fi, don't leave it on a default setting. Even your applications. I'm sorry, you got me on the.
No, please. I'm taking notes. Go ahead. Tell me more.
Just anything you buy from the store, whether you go to Best Buy, you buy something. There's a default setting. Usually those default settings they have a security feature, but you have to enable this security feature. So don't leave any device in default mode. Go into your router in your home and click encrypt it with WPA2, and that will encrypt your Wi-Fi at least, right? And then change that password from a default password that you have out of the box to a more complex password, not just password 123, but come up with something creative, something long. And then when it comes to your Internet of devices, my mom just bought a refrigerator, right, that plays music on Pandora. And you could post pictures and all kind of stuff, or you could order groceries from your refrigerator now. Those are the Internet of Things that I was talking about that makes your network vulnerable, because those become entry points. If I'm a bad guy, if I'm a hacker, you leave your garage door open, you leave your window open. All these are just windows and entry points for me as a bad guy to get into your network. And then I could search into your desktop, or I could go into this device and that and pull information just because you left that window open, right? And so those are the things that you just want to keep in mind, right, when you use these devices and social media and things like that. I know I'm wrong with it, but man,
I appreciate that.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to say for all of you that's listening, he is giving game and technology, because I'm a victim myself. I get an app, and I'll just be like, scroll. All right, accept, and now they have all my information. And I knew about it because I ended up watching an episode on South Park. They did a little parody about that, you didn't read the terms, man. You didn't read the terms? Oh my goodness. What are you doing? And so, man, this is game, man, because a lot of times we're not educated on the netiquette that we need to have whenever we're on the internet, because it's a whole new ball game, and AI is moving at such a fast pace, man. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to keep up at some point in time. So I'm not going to say we need to get ahead of the game, because it seems like the game is already ahead of us. But what I will say is, with you just sharing this information with our audience, man, and with us, man, we are taking notes just to make sure that we are doing the proper things that we need to do, so no breacher comes in, or nobody's able to breach, and come in through your garage and open up your deep freeze and take your food, and then come inside the house and like, "What's up, baby?" Like, what you doing here?
Right, exactly. And for a disclaimer, right, it's all about mitigation. It's all about making it more difficult for somebody to, if you think about a house, right, you have your lights, you have your locks, you have cameras and all these things. You're making it a little more difficult than somebody that's leaving their garage door open. So that's the concept behind it, right? You want to make it more difficult. So if I'm a bad guy, I'm not going to go to Prince, because Prince got his house tight. It's locked up, it's encrypted, all these things. It's a little more difficult. I got to spend a little more time. I'm going to go to Stan, like, hey, I see the window open, so let me just go there. And that's just how simple it is, right? No, but
For sure.
Yeah. So that's the concept behind it, right?
But I think people get so comfortable. To your point, it's really easy to just, I'm just going to make a password that's 6 characters long because that's what they tell me it has to be. But for anyone listening or watching, that 12 to 15 piece in terms of that being with a special character, that makes perfect sense because it's like anything else any criminal is looking for, the easy entry point, and not this difficult.
Yeah. Yes. A lot of ways, but yeah.
I want to say Yolanda Ross Henderson. We got to give a shout out to her. She said, "Go RJ, helping others." That's what I'm saying, man. I see you doing your thing, man. Keep helping others. Right now, you're helping everybody on the cyber education and teaching us about this because people, you got to protect yourself. This is all like this is a whole new ball game. Right now, we're actually in the middle of the virtual storm. Everyone is at home now. The internet is being used more than ever, and we depend on it so much. And so, when it's funny, whenever the internet goes out, because of these blackout grids or these blackouts that's happening, it's funny. The younger generation are like, "What? Like I've lost contact with the world." And for the older generation, it's more so like, man, I hope it gets back on, but we still have our phones that we rely on. But man, everything that you're sharing with us is so true, and we definitely need to educate ourselves on what we need to do and how we need to handle ourselves, man. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah, and my last point on this is just I would encourage the younger generation and the older generation to just do your due diligence and just understand when I talk about technology, not just using the devices, but understand how it works a little bit, right? And that's where my passion is now headed, right? I want you to understand a little bit more how these devices are connected and how it's being used or how it's being exploited and the vulnerabilities more so than anything when you do use them. So I would encourage people to, man, you could take a certification. You could just study more about the actual network itself or application security and things like that, cloud security. It's just a great field because the demand is growing more than ever. The industry itself in cybersecurity is going from 102 billion to like 281 billion by 2027, right? So this market itself, cybersecurity is growing exponentially, and there's not enough people. The demand is so crazy. There's not enough people to fill it. So there's a 0% unemployment rate, right? So it would behoove you just to understand a little bit more now, just because it's not going anywhere. AI, blockchain, machine learning, all these things, quantum computing, all this is within the next 10 years, right? And so get in.
Man.
That right there is a major deal. My bad, parents. Go ahead.
No, you got it. Go ahead and finish what you was going to say.
Yeah, because there are folks out there wondering what they should go into. So, heck, if you're in school right now and you're watching this and you come across this,
there you go.
Or you're thinking about a shift, there's sometimes you simply have to go where the money is or where the money's going to be. And it absolutely seems like that is where the money is, and that's certainly where it's going to be. So I appreciate it. Well, hey, RJ, you're a bad dude. I don't know if anybody ever told you that before. You bad. I appreciate it.
You're a bad dude. So, real quick, can you give us a tip on, so you go to the application, I guess like Zoom or just whatever application that you want to download, and you say you need to read the terms. What are some of the things that you need to read? And because again, I can speak for myself and for a lot of people. It's a lot of context and a lot of content that you have to scroll through and read. What are you looking for whenever you're scrolling through the information? And and then from there, how do you be okay with what you are accepting? Because if you deny it, they're not going to allow for you to use the app. So what are you looking for in securing yourself, or just understanding, hey, my information is being shared. How do I protect myself?
Yeah, so the industry itself, when I talk about third parties, all these companies are I'm exposing them a little bit, right? But they're building all these things understanding they're going to get paid by selling your information. So there's an understanding, right, where I built something. I know this information might get sold to the third party because I'm making the money, right? If I build an application, somebody's going to pay me to sell your information. More than likely, they're going to do it. So what you need to understand when you go through terms of service is what information are they trying to gather? If I'm on Zoom, do I need to accept them to go to my Google Photos? You know, why do you need to go into my pictures if I'm just on Google? But then, on Zoom, but then you might want to do the virtual background and you could attach it, right? You could download a virtual background onto your Zoom. But you just have to understand they're asking for information, whether it be your pictures, your microphone, your credit card information, all these things. So what you could do to protect yourself is not enable it. So you need to go into this application, whether it be Zoom or any other application, go to the settings and see on the security features what is being enabled and what could you disable. And so you want to do that, disable a lot of the things that they're asking you to gather. Especially, and then don't save your credit card information on, if you use Instacart, right? And you put your address on there, you put your phone number, you put your credit card information. Don't save it, because you don't know where that database is really going, right? You put your information on their application, but can you really be sure that their database itself is being secured or is encrypted? Because now, if I'm a bad guy, and I know TikTok or Instacart has 2 million users, I'm going to attack TikTok or the Instacart database because they probably have all these unencrypted, your account information, your login information, your address. I'm going to go steal that information over there, right? But you can't be assured because so don't save information when you can. Make sure you disable, go through the security features, disable things, and just understand what is being shared, and just so that gives you a reasonable expectation of your privacy too, right? So yeah.
Man, that's what you call cyber bars, baby. Cyber bars.
Cyber bars.
Yeah, that's awesome.
RJ, last question for me, if you don't mind. So, there has to take to be at any level, certainly a high level, in, let's say, professional sports, but certainly in your industry, it takes a certain amount of tenacity. So what does that ego look like if it exists? Because it takes ego to be the best of what you do, period. No one can sell me it takes the ego to be the best of what you do. So on the field you versus, the cybersecurity classroom professional you, what's the difference? How can you tell the difference? And is there any way to, put a leash on that person, or is that person just who they are all the time?
Yeah. You need to use both, right? Alter ego. One of my main man, Mike Tyson, right? He's a big guy about his alter ego. He's like, yo, that guy is dead to me. I don't want him to bring him back out. That guy's a violent guy, and now he's trying to resurrect him with the Roy Jones fight coming up, right? So it's always there, right? And you have to understand your ego. It's there, but at the same time, for me personally, I was in college. I had 1 interception in college. I get to the NFL, out of 5 years, I had 2 interceptions, right? So it was never based on my qualifications, right, or my stats. My stats don't pair up to any other corner in the league, right? I was, honorable mention, right? I wasn't really involved. So the sooner I understood that it wasn't solely based on my qualifications, that gave me the confidence to take that ego that I had, that dedication and everything that I learned through the NFL to any other field, to understand, faith without works is dead, but let faith do what it does, right? And walk in that confidence, knowing that you might not be the most qualified guy in the room, but opportunity presented itself. So what are you going to do with it, right? So take advantage of those opportunity moments, because everybody gets presented an opportunity. It's just those that are timid. I see an opportunity here, but I'm not qualified. I'm kind of scared to step forward in that field. No, hey, step forward with confidence, knowing, hey, I'm gonna try to learn it. I'm gonna do my best at it, but let the faith do what it does and kick in and walk in that confidence, knowing your qualifications. Yeah, you might have them, you might not, but you could always get them. And walk in that confidence, knowing it's not solely based on you, in a sense, right?
Awesome, man. Thank you very much on that. Prince, any final thoughts or questions from you, Prince?
Yeah, so I have final thoughts and final questions, man. If you are listening, please, give the, like thumbs up, hearts up. This is awesome. I mean, you don't find too many brothers in technology, and then also sharing their information with their background being in a professional sports. So, man, that's kudos to you, man, and thank you for leading the way and sharing this information. That's amazing. So we always come to a serious point on this show, and one of the things that we always ask our guests is, we all have loved ones and family, and if you only have 72 hours left on this planet, what would be the thing that you would tell them when you sit them down and have that serious talk with them? What is it that you want them to remember? If you only had 72 hours left.
Yeah. Give more than you receive, right? Be grateful. Be fearless. Love, love unconditionally. Love unconditionally. But also, never stop learning. Never stop learning. Never stop learning. Those would be some things. And don't squander the inheritance. Don't squander my wealth. So. Yeah.
Don't squander my wealth. I worked hard for this.
You better believe I'm watching you. Cybersecurity says so. I'm watching.
Right. We got another comment from our audience, man. Ariel Harvey, she said, "Proud of you, Daddy Shark." Oh, Daddy. We appreciate that, Ariel. Oh man, this is awesome, man. Yeah, so that was my question and my words, man. But one thing I do want to say is, man, it's a blessing to be able to have someone like you on the show, man, and just sharing this information, man. We can see the passion behind the work that you do, and just wanting to educate people and inform them, because I know for me, like, this technology, it's something, it's still semi new to me, but not really, because I've been on the outskirts, been involved, but I try not to get too involved. Like in the morning time or during the day, sometimes I just ignore my phone and I just don't even try to get involved in everything that's going on, because it can consume you. It can consume all of your hours, and you go on there looking for one thing, and then all of a sudden you're on there for like 3 hours. Like, man,
Yeah.
I knew I should have never done this. But man, thank you so much for that, because it's bringing awareness to the space, and we have to be able to adapt, because that's the name of the game. And this technology has always been around, but now it's more advanced than ever. And so we just have to know how to navigate in these uncharted virtual territories, man. So I really do appreciate you for this and everything that you do, man. So keep up the good work, RJ. You are a hero, bro.
And also, before we get out of here, how can people learn more about you? I know we had your social media going across about it, but how can they learn more about you and what you do?
Yeah, so I just started a company called Kingship. So there'll be an Instagram coming out soon and a website, as well as you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. I'll be posting some more things about what I'm doing, and currently want to create an opportunity program, right? Opportunity program targeting under-resourced communities. I'm partnering up in Utah as well to just provide what we've been talking about on an educational part, and adding curriculum to real estate, financial literacy, technology, and just providing opportunities and exposure to people. So.
Nice. You said Kingship?
Kingship.
Oh, that's a lovely name, man. That sounds powerful, man. Kingship. like that movie.
Hey.
Oh, hey, he goes representing. Oh, excuse me, King. We're playing chess, not checkers. So
There you go.
checkmate. You know,
I love that, man.
I love that, man. This is awesome, man. This is amazing. It's brilliant. Hey, we're grateful for this opportunity.
Heck yeah, because before we were anything, we were kings. So that means a whole lot. Thank you again, RJ. Appreciate you so very much. So officially, thank you, RJ, for being here, for being so transparent. You know, RJ Stanford Jr. the third. Also, homage to the other RJs in the family and those who've come before you, and those in which you are creating a path that will come behind you. So thank you for being you and everything that you do. Thank you all for joining us here on Game Beyond the Game, where we continue to talk that talk and help people along in their transition to Game Beyond the Game. Please continue to join us here on Facebook at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at Game Beyond the Game, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Continue to join us as we help others improve their Game Beyond the Game. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good one.